In this explainer, we're piecing together a story that comes from recently unearthed patent filings, from cutting-edge research in nanotechnology, and from some truly chilling security analyses. And it's a story about a technology that could redefine what it means to be human.
So let's get right into it. The system we're about to break down proposes something, well, something radical. It's about turning the one thing you truly own, your physical body, into a public key, one that's readable by the state.
Your skin is the new barcode. Now, that is not a line from some sci-fi movie. No, it's the chilling reality that's laid bare in technical papers and patent filings. These are documents that map out a whole new frontier in human identification. The paper trail really begins right here with this document, U.S. Patent 5878155. And look at the date. It was filed all the way back in 1999. It describes a method for verifying a person's identity using an invisible tattoo, all for electronic transactions.
The language in the patent, it's intentionally clinical, almost sterile. It talks about an invisible, indelible ink, one you can only see with a special scanner. But you have to look past the technical jargon to see the real objective here: to forge an unbreakable link between a mark on your body and your entire financial and personal identity. This document, it wasn't just a concept, it was the legal foundation for everything that was about to come.
But you know, that 1999 patent, it was just the blueprint, the real breakthrough needed technology that didn't even exist back then. I mean, how do you create a mark that's not just invisible but can also hold huge amounts of data? Well, the answer lies in nanotechnology.
And this is the game changer: quantum dots. Now, these aren't just tiny crystals. They're microscopic semiconductors that act like artificial atoms. So when a scanner's light hits them, they don't just reflect it. They basically sing back in their own unique frequency. And what that creates is a signature of light, an optical fingerprint that is, for all intents and purposes, impossible to forge.
And right here, you can see the huge technological leap. This isn't a flat, simple barcode. No, it's like a multi-dimensional data cube living just under your skin. The specific wavelength of light, the intensity of its glow, how long it takes for the light to decay, every single variable becomes part of a signature that is infinitely more complex than any password you could ever dream of.
The potential for storage here is just staggering. According to the latest research, a single quantum dot platform can generate 1.2 quintillion unique identifiers. And no, that is not a typo. Quintillion. That's enough unique codes for every single person on the planet hundreds of millions of times over. The system basically has near infinite capacity. So how is this invisible mark actually applied? It's not with a syringe. The delivery system is just as covert as the ink itself. The quantum dots are put inside microparticles, which are then loaded onto a patch of dissolvable microneedles. You apply this patch to the skin, and in just a few moments, the needles dissolve, painlessly depositing the pattern just below the surface. No pain, no trace. And make no mistake, this mark is designed for permanence. The public justification you might hear is something benign, an on-patient medical record. But the lab tests on human tissue, they show these invisible patterns are disturbingly resilient. They remain perfectly readable even after 5 years of simulated sun exposure.
Okay, so the technology is viable. It works. But how do you deploy it? How do you build a system to find and read a mark that nobody can even see?
The most likely way to implement this is through our existing security infrastructure. I mean, think about it. High security zones like airports, they're already pushing for seamless security with things like OneID. That's a global system aiming to use biometrics for everything from check-in to boarding. It creates an environment where all of us are being conditioned to accept more and more invasive screening.
Now, what's really interesting on this slide is the scanner technology. It's not some massive, obvious machine. What you're seeing is a diagram of the reader developed by MIT researchers. It's a handheld, custom, near-infrared camera powered by a simple battery, and it's connected to a smartphone that's just running a custom app. It's portable, it's simple, and it's very, very easily disguised. And because the hardware is so nondescript, security analysts are warning that covert implementation is a very real possibility. Concerns are being raised in security briefings that this exact technology could be field-tested at checkpoints, disguised as something completely benign, like a contactless temperature check or some other public health screening.
And this brings us to the final and most critical point. Because this isn't just about technology, it's about the very foundation of privacy. What we are looking at here is the endgame for anonymity itself.
Privacy experts have been sounding this alarm for years. The analyst Roger Clark issued this incredibly stark warning about any kind of ubiquitous identification scheme. He said, all human behavior would become transparent to the state, and the scope for nonconformism and dissent would be muted.
This right here is the fundamental shift. See, unlike a name you can change or a password you can forget, this system creates a permanent link between your physical body and your digital trail. It turns your very biology into an ID card that you can never lose, and more importantly, one you can never refuse to show. You simply cannot withhold your skin.
Legal scholars, they point out a crucial distinction. There's anonymity, where your identity is completely unknown. And then there's obscurity, where your identity is knowable, but you're just one face in the crowd. For most of human history, public life offered privacy through obscurity. But a system that can identify anyone, anywhere, instantly, well, it threatens to destroy that last refuge. There is no crowd to get lost in anymore.
And all of this leads us to the final, chilling question. The technology is invisible. The delivery is painless. The scanners are portable and easily disguised. In a world of ever-increasing contactless security, how would you know if it's already been implemented? How could you ever be sure?